morning.
All right, so this is going to be a quick tutorial on how you can be rusty. Now, I'm not talking about how you can make a song like Rusty or how you can make one of your songs sound like a Rusty song. I'm talking about how you can literally be Russell White. So this is going to be a very in-depth tutorial. You're going to want to pay very close attention to everything that I'm about to tell you. So if you want to be Rusty, you have to make exactly 3 studio albums, all right? No more, no less. And I'm going to walk you through the production process of all 3 of those albums so that you can be the best Rusty that you can be. All right, so your first record, you're going to name that Glass Swords. So what you're going to want to do to make this album is just make a freaking perfect album. All right, it's influential to all electronic music producers, all your contemporaries for years to come. You make it so that it becomes a prerequisite for anybody who wants to make electronic music. It's all killer, no filler. It's well mixed. It's beautiful. It has these glistening synths, punchy drums, eclectic mixes of funk, soul, R&B. It's amazing. You have to make an absolute banger for your album. Now, this step is very important because the relative quality of the next 2 records is going to be a little choppy. So let's move on to your next record. So your next record, you're going to want to name it Green Language. Now, this is just going to sound like a bunch of snippets that are kind of okay, like a bunch of kind of okay songs that were never really finished, even though apparently an entire other album material was scrapped in favor of Green Language. Subpar vocal appearances on this one, except for Danny Brown. You're going to want to tap Danny Brown on the shoulder. He'll come in, he'll do a killer verse, it's going to be amazing. That one you're going to release as a single. It'll do pretty well. The mixing on this record that you're going to make called Green Language suddenly got worse. Like, you go from Glass Swords, you're mixing like a pro. You're mixing like a fantastic, decades-long experienced engineer. And then you get to Green Language, and now you're starting to mix like maybe a high schooler who has a SoundCloud page. The mixing is just going to be a tad worse on this one. Uninspired chord progressions, melodies, and you being Rusty. Not even you like this album. So that's kind of how that shakes out with Green Language. Now, the third one, you're going to call this one Even If You Don't Believe, which is not going to make any sense. You're going to put it in all caps and all next to each other with no punctuation. Now, this is probably the most streamlined album production process out of the whole 3. So I'm going to need you to pay very close attention. This one is very, very easy to make. If you want to make an album called Even If You Don't Believe, what you're going to want to do is you need to make 2 songs that are actually good. You're going to name the first one Big Cats, and you're going to name the second one Atlantean Airship. And then you're going to make the rest of the album, okay? So you make those 2 songs, and then, you make the rest of the album. The rest of the album is going to be complete ass, non-existent mixing. The melody lines are so wandering that they're lost. It only has 2 tracks more than the previous albums that you've made, but somehow still feels bloated. Like, plenty of these songs didn't need to be 2.5, 3 minutes long. The high end is just shattering. You have to really, take that graphic EQ and slide that high side, just bang it all the way up to the top. Really melt your listeners' ears and make them wish that they couldn't hear with that high end. And you're going to want to make sure that this one is so bad that it didn't even get a nod from Mr. Melonhead Fantano. So that's a quick and easy So that's a quick and easy tutorial on how you can be Rusty the producer.